Growing up here as a Puerto Rican, I'll never forget the first time I saw the movie West Side Story. Of course, I didn't live in New York, and the, we didn't have the Jets or the Sharks like the movie did, but there was some similarity to it. It was in the neighborhood that we grew up with in South Bethlehem. There was it was just then evolving. So we were sort of like the early Latinos to come in, and we were sort of the first ones to get in there. We were different, and we were not the norm. And so people didn't really know how to accept us or treat us in the beginning. And I remember when we would do our pajandas, they would call the cops on us because they'd say we were disturbing the peace until they figured out we were just doing what they might call Christmas caroling. And so they thought we were a little strange and a little different. But something about when you build your own community, and we had our own businesses and we had our own stores, and we continued to thrive, and that helped us grow a whole lot. I think the educational system is probably the system that played the harshest part on me while growing up. I was, in many of the programs that I facilitate, I do this particular piece that talks about tell people something that they can't tell about you, that you have survived or struggled through, some sort of a hidden identity from a difficult place, if you will. And I sometimes say that I survived a severely racist school system. As a child, there was no expectation of me to do anything, to amount to anything, just to make sure that I was either able to work in a restaurant or in a garden. That's what they expected. Not even auto mechanic. When I asked to go to college, they specifically said right out, "You're too dumb for college. You're better off taking some kind of OTech, food management, something in that area." Not that there's anything wrong with that. I think those are all good careers, but just something about limiting and pigeonhole us, I think that speaks to how they looked at us and didn't think we were valued enough to reach for the stars and go to other places. So there was something about that stuck with me a long time. And gave me sort of a bad attitude around education. And that happened to me in 8th grade. And if it wasn't that I met my wife in 9th grade, I probably wouldn't have stayed in school.
So, what key points do you want parents to educate their children on just remember, skin color is just a color. Remember, we come from another place, and never forget that you're not different, but you're all part of one culture of the world. So understanding those key points that you want our generation, my generation, to educate the progeny.
You know, I've heard people say that they're colorblind. They don't see the color of people's skins. That they don't notice people are darker. I struggle with that because I don't think people are colorblind. I think they're afraid to address the issue. And I would think that it's okay for us to talk about what different shades we are, and all our shades are good shades. The dark-skinned, light-skinned, some of us look more African heritage than European or Taino, and all of them is wonderful. And I think that's how we have to look at it, that there's beauty in all of them. And I would encourage parents to teach that to their children right away, that there is no reason in this godly world of ours for someone to feel less than because their skin is darker, or because their eyes aren't blue, or anything of that nature, because their hair isn't straight. Please do everything you can to remind that child how important and valuable they are, and how everything about them is just right.
Is there anything that you feel like you really want to talk about?
I think another piece that I'd like to mention is that we have not done well around how we talk about finances. I think as when we're raising our children, we sort of avoid talking to them about it.
Our relationship with money.
Yeah, we avoid talking with our children about our relationships with money, and I think that's really important that we learn how to have conversations when we're struggling, that we talk about it, that we're communicating, and that children learn and that they're told early on the value of being able to manage your money and know when times are lean that you got to back off, and when times are a little better, you want to save, and you want to be and do some things that you can't normally do. I think the other piece I'd like to mention is the relationship between men and women in the Latino culture. I really encourage that any man that feels that he's more of a man because he's violent with women, there's nothing farther from the truth than that. That any man feels that he has to hurt anybody, let alone a woman, there's something that's not about our culture. That's the macho in our culture was supposed to mean that we take care of the family, not that we hurt people. That's not who we are. And especially our women, we should not be hurting, and our children should not be hurt by us. So I encourage men to be real men. A true Latino man is similar to the men that were in my life, my father, my grandparents, my uncles, who I've never seen them strike any woman or any child in a way that was completely wrong. And I just want to encourage you, to the women out there, if you're in a relationship with someone, get out of it. There's nothing wrong. You should never be in a situation where you fear for your life. And I guess in some parts of our culture, I'd like to say that it has to change. The violence is one of them. And other parts of our culture that we continue to grow, and that's how smart we are, how we celebrate all the good things about us. I really want us to hold on to those things, our language, remembering our past, our food, our dances, our music, all those things we should celebrate. But violence is not who we are. That is not part of our culture. And if you think it is, you're wrong. And we should do away with all the violence that's involved in our communities.
So let's end on a positive note.
Well, I would like to see more Latinos grow into the professional world, that they take jobs on as teachers, that they take jobs on as police officers, that they politics, particularly leadership, grow in leadership. It's meant for all of us. It's like the air we breathe, we're entitled to it. So please go and support other leaders and become a leader yourself. We need you. There's nothing more you can do better in this world for us and for yourself than to be a leader in the community that helps.
For not only for your culture, but forever. So.
You know, the better our culture is, the better the world is. So the more we grow and hold on to our strengths, the better we are for the rest of society, and just like it, the better it is for us.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. That was beautiful.
All right.
That was beautiful. Okay. So, could you say your name?
My name is Guillermo Lopez Jr.
And title?
I'm Director of Latino Constituency for the National Coalition Building Institute, and I'm also co-director for the National Coalition Building Institute's Law Enforcement and Community Partnership Program.
Okay.
¿Eso es una prueba o es ya?
No, yeah.
Pero ya que lo empecé.
Okay, we can do that all together.
Okay.
Yo soy
So, do you want me to again?
Do your introduction.
Oh, okay.
Title, name, and
Sure.
title together.
I'm Guillermo Lopez Jr. I'm the director of the Latino Constituency for the National Coalition Building Institute. And I also co-direct the Law Enforcement and Community Program for NCBI.
Now, how did you end up in the United States?
Well, I was born here. My parents, I guess in the late 40s, I was born in 55, so I guess now you know my age. And I'm 55. But I was raised in a very close-knit Puerto Rican family, part of the Catholic Church group. My parents were one of the families that helped find the founders of the Puerto Rican Beneficial Society in Bethlehem. They put their house up as collateral for the purchasing of that facility that still exists today. And it was a really great place to be raised Puerto Rican while you're in the United States in the city of Bethlehem. Because we could be as Puerto Rican as we wanted to inside that club, and nobody could tell us or that we shouldn't. As in the 50s, it was a bit of a challenge for us to, as people, to do how we do things. So in my first formidable years, the first, as a child, I grew up everything Puerto Rican at the Puerto Rican Club, and everything else was at the Holy Infancy Church. And so I learned about our culture, los reyes, and things like that. And I also learned that everybody had to be Catholic, and if you weren't Catholic, you were going to hell. And that was something of a cultural thing, my family, my grandparents, my uncles and aunts. My grandparents had 14 children, and they were really good Catholics. And so my parents were the same. They were very Catholic. And so no one ever said that to me, that you had to be Catholic or you were going to hell, but it was implied. And so I was okay with all that. And then I went to public school. And I found out that there were other people that weren't Catholic and that weren't Puerto Rican, and it was a bit of a culture shock for me. And, yeah, in fact, I met a young boy in school, and turned out he wasn't Catholic, and I said to him, "Oh my God, you're going to hell," and he didn't really appreciate that. But
So starting it from right there, what was key in how your parents raised you, and for you to always appreciate your culture, appreciate your language, appreciate your heritage, and pass it on to your children? How important did your parents make your culture to you?
I think the easy things about culture are food, music, and stories. That's the easy part, and no one makes better food than Puerto Ricans, and I just how I feel, and I believe that, and we pass that on to our children too. But the music and how we celebrate the holidays, it's a particular way. It's just a little different. In fact, I believe as Puerto Ricans we tend to celebrate more often than most, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's actually a good thing, celebrating life as much as you can. And I think that's a cultural thing. I think the other thing that's really cultural was about family and how important family is. And I know every culture has their special place about family, but I think everybody should think their culture is the best, and that's how I feel about mine. And if you don't feel like yours is the best, and if you're uncomfortable with me saying mine is the best, that's your problem, not mine. But that's how I feel, and I think everybody should feel the same way, that theirs is the best.
And so what do you feel is missing in the United States?
I don't know that I could say what's missing in the United States, but what I'll say to you is the things that I learned or I didn't learn being raised Puerto Rican and with my parents. I think my parents did it as best as they could, and without formal education, but incredibly smart people. I think the piece that was missing was having a lot of wisdom around finances, having a really good understanding of how you can prepare for the future. And in fact, that would probably be the biggest thing that as a culture that we can get better at, is how as a community, as a group, as a people, that we leverage and manage our money in such a way that it doesn't evaporate or makes other groups incredibly wealthy off of us. And not that I'm trying to isolate or anything, but there is a particular way that if you support each other, you can do better. And I think we have to get better at that. I think the other thing is that we have to understand why we are proud of who we are. I ask young people now who are waving the flag, Puerto Rican flag, and ask them, so what are you proud of? and they can't really answer, but they say they're proud, and I think that itself is a challenge for us. I think we have to get better about defining exactly why we should be proud of who we are, and the history, and how hard of a working people that we are and continue to be, and how education, you know, we're on the island. I believe there's a lot more people going to college than Puerto Ricans here, and there's just something about that we got to figure out that we do it here in the same way. So that's the other one.
And how your parents raised you? How do you feel? Well, was it right up in there?
No.
Is it? I think it's your.
What's that?
Someone's getting a call.
Oh,
Might be.
Pero apaga el tuyo porque yo.
Yeah, no, but
is that my phone ringing?
Tú oíste un teléfono.
No, I didn't
Yo
hear
no
it.
oí.
no, it's that like you know how you hear it.
Oh, you hear the sound through? Okay.
¿Qué oyó él?
No, lo yo en el
La interferencia.
at the interference.
Oh, okay.
Press the top right button.
Oh, you got the G4 or the G?
Yeah, with 4G, G2 4G.
Yeah.
A lot of G in numbers.
I'm gonna put it to airplane mode.
Yep, that's fine.
So
Entonces la interferencia es muy fuerte.
just don't forget.
Oh no, I won't, because
Sí.
yeah. I have to call home to find out what I'm picking up for dinner.